What would you say to anyone who is in PropTech trying to sell their PropTech solution to the estate and letting agency industry?
Okay, I mean, the first thing, it depends where they are in the journey. So I would love to talk to someone who is at that chrysalis stage, like right at the start, just coming up with an idea.
How many times have you spoken to someone who's basically spoken to their mate down the pub who used to work for Hart or one of the corporates, and then went off for 2 years and built something?
So I probably have about 10 to 15 companies come in a week.
As an agent?
Either over the phone, not necessarily, well, as an agent representative. I mean, I've got myself to a point where I think PropTech businesses understand that I'm quite a good barometer in terms of, and you know, I will tell people what I candidly think. And yeah, we probably have 10 or 15 solutions approach us each couple of weeks, let's say. And I would say probably we have 10 a month come in for a proper chat. And I would say out of those 10, 2 or 3 I see as value within the agency marketplace. And if they're lucky, one is something that we're personally interested in as a business.
What are you seeing an awful lot of where you think, I heard that a year ago and I've heard it 100 times this year?
So I think, I'll try and do this without stepping on the toes of anyone. So I've had some interesting ones. What was it? About a year and a half ago, a guy came in to pitch a product who is actually now released another product which is doing really well, lesson learned. But he came in and he said, oh, you know, I know agents are having a real issue sort of getting more offers on properties and how you sort of marshal that through a process. And we've reinvented it by creating a sort of online auction site for rental properties. And I just, you know, I sat there and was like, I can't say that that's ever a problem. And I've never wanted to be jostling 4 or 5 offers. I want to be able to, through an auction style thing, you know, I said to him, I don't know where you've identified this issue from, but I don't have that issue. I've never met an agent who in any of our rants has sort of come up with that. So, yeah, you know, there's ones like that. I remember one of the alternative deposit schemes came in to see us 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, before any of them launched, any of the current ones launched. You know, and again, they asked a lot of direct questions and I gave a lot of direct answers. Most of which weren't listened to, and you know they had a lot of struggles.
Do you think the PropTech industry listens, actually even talks to agents?
No,
I mean, I've not been to it, but I've been told that there are PropTech conferences and get-togethers where all it seems to be is people from PropTech looking at.
So there's a couple of big PropTech events a year, probably the largest being Future PropTech. I think one of the challenges for the event. And it's something I've tried to sort of work with the founders about is resolving that, is that for whatever reason, perception or whatever, yes, you're absolutely right. There is a distinct lack of residential agents attending.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a Facebook.
I mean, you get the big corporate bosses come in.
Yes.
Because for them, you know, they can come in and see resi, commercial, blah, blah, blah. And for them, you know, you walk out of that event with one killer product in a multi-100 million pound business, that can be huge. You walk in there as a single branch agent and you know you maybe save yourself or make yourself 5% year margin. Yes, it's nice, but it's not earth shattering. So that is definitely one of the issues. PropTech companies generally are just not engaging with agents early enough in the journey, and I think that is just as much, if not more, a detriment to the PropTech industry than it is to agents.
I mean, you said in a previous video that you were reading on some forum that some guy or girl, I don't know who it was, don't mention any names, was complaining that agents need to be more open to the PropTech industry with accepting their ideas.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was a very bizarre viewpoint, because it felt like it was criticising agents of being, stop being so stuck in the mud. But I think actually there is an element of that, for sure. There is an element of agents going, look, it's always worked like this. We're happy like this. True. We don't need to change. But there are products being, rolled out and presented to agents which genuinely deliver no end value to that agent, for the simple reason that, like I said, they're either solving a problem which doesn't exist, or they are expecting so much from the agent in terms of operational changes to adopt to this single product that it's.
I mean, I'll be straight with you, I won't mention any names, but someone quite high up who's well regarded in PropTech sent me a DM on LinkedIn and actually said, we ought to feel lucky that the PropTech industry is there trying to solve our problems. And if it doesn't actually solve all of them, we'll decide what we're going to solve. And you should be considered very lucky that we're doing this for you.
Wow. I mean, wow.
No wonder
if that is the attitude. I mean, that's not the attitude that I've generally found talking to a lot of PropTech founders. And I've spoken to a lot of founders selling into the residential agency space.
Because you're the first person I've met, apart from Charlie Wright from Best Agent, but you're the first agent that I know that is almost a kind of de facto spokesman for the industry on PropTech. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've asked you up here.
I think one of the reasons
Do you like that?
Yeah, I think we've applied a lot of tech within our agency, and I think I see a lot of synergy between our business and a lot of agents around the country. Although, yes, we're in London and we work on a very, very different fee structure. We're a single branch office. We're 5 staff. And I know for a fact that we can only deliver the turnover, the profit, and most importantly, the customer satisfaction that we do because of the role that tech plays within our business. And that has been a journey. That has taken time. When we started the business, it was literally me and my business partner and 2 laptops and a printer from Dixon's. And literally each tenancy agreement was done by hand for each individual thing on a Word document. And so, that tech thing didn't happen overnight. It was sort of 3 or 4 years from just material sort of growth within the business. And then we started really looking at software and tech and where that sits within the business. And I think, I like to think that, when a product is presented to me, I can put on that agent hat, not just for my agency, but I think most of the points or questions or concerns that I would raise with the company pitching to us, I think would be shared by a lot of
you ought to do a series of videos like, not Witch or something, but you could almost say we Witch for PropTech. Do some PropTech reviews. Yeah,
I mean, I think there's definitely something to be said for that. I think
Which PropTech?
I want to tread a little bit carefully because I think there's been a surge of PropTech. There's also been a surge of consultants in our industry at the moment.
Yes.
And much like people are getting a little bit tired of the PropTech label, I think people are getting a little bit cautious of consultancy coming into the industry. So I'm not going to try and preach, but I may well see you through in that idea. I think that there's definitely value to be had there. But yeah, I think it's really, really tricky. But I think for me, whether you're coming from outside the industry, inside the industry, you worked in here for a little bit or whatever, or you had a horrible experience as a buyer, I just think, look,
we are the gatekeepers. You can't get away from that, can you?
We are the gatekeepers, and I think look, most of us have watched Dragon's Den, right? It comes down to the same sort of things that they put you in Dragon's Den. You go into Dragon's Den and you pitch a new luxury gin. The first thing they ask is, what have you done? How big's your market? Have you researched it? Where are your ins? Where are your outs? Etc. Etc. And I think with PropTech at the moment, there is too much of people going, right, I had this horrible experience, I'm going to build this product that's going to totally transform it. They go out and they either self-fund or they raise a lot of money. They build this product. They do this big flashy launch. And then they go and sit in front of an agent and go, this is what we've built. What do you think? And then when the agent goes, I don't get it. Where does that sit in my business? There's that frustration of, oh, you're old-fashioned. You don't get it. You're just afraid of tech. And it's like, no, genuinely, I think a growing number of smaller agents and definitely the corporates actually can see almost instant value in a good tech offering. But it's got to be that. It's got to be a good tech offering, and you've got to understand the nuances of agency. And I think, it's little things like the operational setup of an estate agency is part of its identity. And I think, too often there are products that come out and go, right, we're going to transform this part of your process. All you have to do is you now have to do it. This. And there might be a logic to that. There might be a benefit to that. But to walk into a business and go, you're going to completely change how you work. You're going to retrain your staff.
Especially with lettings, because letting agents are very detail-orientated and they absolutely fear criticism because they want to get everything right.
And so process-driven, and increasingly so, with the growing legislation.
So for someone to come in who is that type of personality, that type of personality doesn't like criticism, even though it's not meant as criticism. My wife's that type of personality.
Yeah.
I can't, you've got to say it in a certain way to get inside her head, and it's the same with letting agents.
Yeah, exactly, and it's you've got to win people over. But I think PropTech in particular massively undervalues and underestimates how core an agency's processes are, because I genuinely think that for a lot of agencies, and particularly smaller agencies, which as we know is the majority of the market, that is even more so. I think as a corporate, there's more logic to it. Yes, it's a longer tail journey, but if you show a corporate, if they change from method A to method B, that they can improve their profit by 10%, well, when it gets to the board, that's not going to get questioned. When you're pitching that to an agency boss who's been running his agency for 25, 30 years, and things have always been okay. They've always done all right. They've always turned out okay. And you come in and go, do you know what? We can boost it 10%, but you're going to have to completely reinvent how you do things. That's a tough sell. And then your response to the friction there to be like, oh, you're old-fashioned. You're lucky to have us. Wow.